All right, this is going to be an exciting one. Welcome back to more of the 1v1s as we have got the return of two that have been seen before. One of them many more times. One of them, in fact, even fighting against his own chin at one point. Yes, that's right. We have got the Muslim playing as the Roos in the red. Shame his name didn't begin with R. That would have been a perfect RRR. But he is going to be up against 3DB on his infamous China. For those who didn't catch the video before, we've already had 3DB in the series once, actually up against Marine Lord when he was playing the Mongols. And he was able to effectively repel the Mongol Scout and Horseman rush as China with an Imperial Academy opening. That's the important detail. I'm excited to see if we're going to get that out of him again. He's the only player I've seen doing Imperial Academy openings so far. I want to see if it's a frequent occurrence for him or very selective. That was on Hill and Dale, where he had a lot of natural choke points, so it might be he feels he needs to have the Barbican the Sun in this map, which is the fortification defense landmark for China. I do prefer Barbican the Sun a lot of the time because I think the value play out of it is that it allows you to expand your eco line somewhere and it covers your expansions, right? So like in this game, Barbican the Sun to this side of the gold vein would be perfect. It would actually get you 2 gold veins worth of protection. Probably the highest value for him in these areas, unless he wants to put one behind his base, which we don't really see that often. Then again, he could go really aggressive with the Barbican Sun placement up here near the deer placement. But I do think that one would be a little bit more finicky. It would give you the high ground advantage, though. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to see if he's even going to do that open. Because something we have seen some players doing is switching up, essentially, the way that you prioritize your buildings. So obviously, one of the big things when you play as China is the whole concept of dynasties, right? You go back for these dynasties to get these rates. And the way you get them is by building the second landmark from the same age. So basically, you know, for China in this situation, you build Barbican Sun, then you have to go back for Imperial Academy. Now, if you have a game where you go Barbican Sun first, I 100% support going Imperial Academy for Song Dynasty. However, I feel like if you go Imperial Academy first, you skip that and go straight to Yuan Dynasty and prioritize getting double Castle Age buildings. Reason being, by the way, is that Barbican Sun kind of loses its value to a certain extent as you were able to reach Castle Age. It's all about protecting a feudal, right? Once you get Castle Age, if you need defense that badly, build a keep. Gather 800 stone. I know I make it sound so true. Just gather 800 stone and work it through that way. And that's something that I think a lot of players are kind of pivoting on right now, is whether the prioritization is a power spike off of Song Dynasty, usually off of the villager production rate, but also off the Zhugnu, who are much more powerful than a lot of people are realizing right now, or whether their time is around the Yuan Dynasty with those ridiculously formidable fire lancers backed up by a line of astronomical clock tower siege weapons that have 50% more health. The reason, by the way, fire lancers are so powerful is not only do they siege buildings incredibly effectively, they also, on their charge, do a splash damage attack that we've seen completely decimate, you know, range lines of archers, for example. So, folks, if you're ever playing against fire lancers, remember to use a spread formation. You shouldn't have to wait to see a nest of bees to be scared enough to need to do it. 3DB, by the way, did go for a second scout. He's trying to delay the Muslim's bounty tick up because already the Muslim is up to 200. You saw him scanning out the wolves. You saw them actually fighting in the center over that originally. And looking at this so far, Deers on both sides have been spotted and sniped by the Muslim. Same for 3DB. So the Muslim definitely not having an easy game up against the China player here. That does mean he's one villager up, though. 3DB compared to the Muslim. One difference in it. It could have ended up being 2 courtesy of the Imperial Official, because remember, you have to build that out of your TC as well, but that gives so much efficiency back. In fact, if we look at the drop-offs now, you'll see that these people are dropping off 12 each time. It also means that 3DB can be set very comfortably for an aggressive opening, if he wants to, off the back of one military production building. Because remember, when they supervise the military buildings, it pushes units out 200% faster. So tech up already in place for the Muslim, almost complete with it. Golden Gate, huge value. We still haven't seen what 3DB is going to do. He's about to have enough food. I am, honestly, in this type of game, I'm kind of feeling he's going to lean towards Barbican the Sun. There's just so many open grounds that are threatened, right? He could drop the Barbican right here and it would be worthwhile. There we go. Okay, so he puts a little bit more defense than I would have expected, but this holds this choke point near your wood line right now as well. He doesn't have anywhere safe to expand on the wood. He will spot this eventually, I hope. Like, this is an amazing little wood pocket because it's actually easy to protect with one outpost. Whereas a lot of different areas, for example, if the Muslim goes south for his wood, right, this is a fairly open area that he could be exploited on. But this is always an interesting thing to see when you look at King of the Hill. King of the Hill is very scarce on starting locations for wood. If you expand north or south, right, out your base, there's so much wood. But you always start with a tiny line. And I've said before that I do think that this works usually against the Roost player, because Wooden Fortress almost feels like more of a must because there's so many open pockets, like open routes into your eco lines, right, that you need those protections. But when you're playing Roost, although you get an extra 20% drop-off fabricated out of nowhere, if you have a Wooden Fortress in range of lumber camps, it's still that initial investment of 175 wood compared to the 100 that other civs have to commit, or even less, in fact, if you're the Mongols who only have to pay 70. So 3DB going for the stable drop straight away, and he's going to supervise the building of scouts. So this is all about taking the hunting away from the Muslim. He wants to get rid of these carcass games, which he knows his opponent's going to be going after, and he won't be able to match unless he supervises and builds out scouts in mass. And I think if we look over the mill, yeah, we can already see it's almost complete. Professional scouts about to be cleared. The Muslim still waiting on his as well, already spreads them out for maximum efficiency. And it looks like the edge will be there for 3DB, but like we said, he hasn't got the scouts in mass just yet. But he is trickling them over, and he already put 2 of them over here to steal away the corpses. A move we're seeing out of more and more high-level players that makes the difference. Because the Muslim, he played it defensive, right? The way his food is set up, he ran out in his base. And that's the thing. That's the big difference. Because of what 3DB done in the opening, because he went for this mill next to the berry bushes that we see so frequently, and it still has plenty of sheep, he wasn't pressured into getting the nearby deer, right? He was able to run across the map and not lose out economy-wise, as although it's not as efficient, his people are still actually gathering. The Muslim's going to realize what's happening too late as well. Maybe 1, possibly 2 corpses are going to be left for him, but that's going to be it. He's running in. He's got scouting vision on it now, and he's not going to be happy with what he sees. Doesn't even get it in time, so he only gets 1 corpse out of this. 3DB, what an open and play. I love this move out of him. We've been talking about how great this guy is being aggressive early on. We saw it rather as he saw it against Marine Lord, and we're starting to see it again out of the Muslim, right? Like, he's already getting the Horseman to try and pressure. That's going to be a problem for the Scouts. It means that you'll be able to chase them down, because remember, the Horsemen move quicker than Scouts, and Scouts hit for less. So you stay on top of them, you harass them over these long treks to try and retreat, they're going to die. And this is what he's doing right now. Horsemen move in. The Muslim can't even answer this either. This is the biggest issue for him, right? Even if he built a stable right now, he cannot match the production rates of 1 stable in China. This is where China gets ridiculously powerful. So they're going to snipe out the scout. A few more stabs needed. Looks like the other one might get away with this. However, the sneaking to try and get the corpses closer to 3DB isn't going to be as fruitful for the Muslim as he would have hoped. He might be able to actually still pick up 2 here, but I definitely have to give the quantity to 3DB. He got more corpses in the end of this. Definitely feels like it. I think Muslim definitely kept it a lot more competitive than you would have originally expected, courtesy of the sneakovers to these 2 different locations almost at the same time. But only one of these 2 scouts is getting out of this. The Muslim, by the way, because of the hard investment by 3DB into the Horseman, the Muslim is ready for a tech up, and 3DB isn't. And this could be a big deal. Abbey Trinity being dropped now. Remember, the timing you're looking for is actually pretty similar for both of them, right? Like, Rus are looking for that time in the Castle Age where they want to get the Horse Archers. Meanwhile, the Chinese, it's about hitting that clock tower, right? You want to get into that clock tower, you want to start producing in massive springles and start slogging your way across the map while you can still get the easy MMR before they patch that out, right? Because I do believe the intent is the devs are planning to drop a nerf to springles in the next week or so. So, another corpse secured. But just problems now arising. I don't think he scouted this out either. 3DB is playing blind right now, but he's going to get the notification. He's not going to be happy about it. His gold is still sucking hard at this stage. He's trying to fix it now. In cover a minute, he's like ramping up in that regard. By the way, Hunt Cabin's not played into by the Muslim at all. He's reached Castle Age now. It still could be a decent time to do it. But I think his prioritization is now just going to be gathering those relics. Relics which are actually unfavorably placed for him. If you actually look at it, it's almost like they're set up to fight him, right? They've set up a perimeter away from the Muslim. There's none that close to him. And 3DB definitely being closer to 3 of these for sure. But that won't matter much. 1, 3DB still has to get the tech up. 2, he'd have to go into Monks. I don't necessarily expect to see that. The only time we see people engage with the slow-moving Monks, outside of being HRE, of course, is when you're talking about these situations where you've choke-pointed the map and you box in your opponent. And then it's all about, like, milking the entire map as much as possible. But that's just not the case here. It's just too open. Horseman. They do well against the archers, remember. You can already see the stabs coming out. That bonus damage into effect. Should be 9, but it's not. It's a +9 because these are ranged units. But if you get enough of them, they will be a scare tactic for the Horsemen. Horsemen, of course, had their health nerfed, but did get a little bit extra ranged armor. But I feel like if 3DB matches the number, he can actually fight up against this. Because remember, these aren't fire on the go type archers. These aren't Magadai. They have to stand still to fire. And you can see it already. So one gets sniped out. They'll just pursue them all the way back to base. And this is just creating space so the 3DB can tech up. He is actually right now building the clock tower. Back out just in time. Oof. He wishes he could have got that Warrior Monk. No chance, though. 190 health. You wouldn't even try. Wall might catch you off for a start. The Horse Archers will kill you if not. Now 3DB. Oh, he's doing it! So maximum value out the scouts. You know how you do that, folks? You yoink the corpses! He catches the Horse Archers away from home and he steals the food right from the jaws of the Muslim citizens. And that is going to cause problems in the food eco. 3DB getting it all. 6 corpses he will walk away with. 5. All right. He accidentally hung around too long. But that is 5 carcasses worth of economy stripped away from the Muslim. And do not underrate how important that is going to be. That is going to force an uncomfortable transition because right now, the Muslim, he's probably at this rate not going to have the economy to sustain 4 archery ranges, even when he switches across the berry bushes. Remember, it's a slower gather rate. On top of that, he's now going to have that tough decision of where do I get the wood to transition to farms? Because you're going to have to, right? And the next wood line is so far away. So this wood that he's going to need for these archery range units, right, for producing the horse archers, he's also going to require to transition into a farm-type economy. And that is where he might be weakened heavily. The Muslim has to find value in return. He has to punish the move 3DB made. And he thinks maybe if any time it's going to be now, right, when your opponent just teched up, when he's maybe in the middle of a transition. However, with this many horsemen still, it's very hard. It's so difficult. This is the trap of playing Roos. It's so easy to get baited into going for horse archers, right? But the moment you see your opponent was doing these horsemen, you should have fought something else, right? Maybe I aim in page, maybe I go knights. Like knights won't be able to catch the horsemen, but the horsemen will never engage me. You needed something else. You can't just spam horse archers and expect good results. And that's what he's about to learn. As these horsemen will snipe out targets easily. Stabby, stabby. Barely any horse archer left. Barely a dent in this horseman. And they're veteran horsemen now as well. And that's the beauty as well. Because you double down on horse archers, your opponent gets even more value out of horsemen. Right? So he's willing to tech them up. It's not something he's going to opt out of anytime soon. Saint's Blessing was a nice buff, but it won't last long. So they will get rid of the Monk. They'll push back further. And this expansion is dangerous, by the way. This is what we're talking about. This is the fragile moment, right? He needs to transition into farms. He needs to move to a new wood line. That wood line is not going to be fully protected. 15 people here, only room for half of that. And it could be punished. Not now, but I do expect something to occur in the next few minutes. If it ever gets scattered out by 3DB, the Muslim's in big trouble. And we're back in the base. Still no siege weapons at all. Why would he need them, right? Like, for 3DB, he realizes it's mobile on mobile 4, so all he needs to do is keep spamming out the horsemen to win this. That's what he does. Now up to 11. The Muslim, very stubborn. In for a penny, in for a pound. More horse archers. And now it's problem town for the Muslim. Because he's counted out in this matchup of units, right? On top of that, his opponent has taken away his Sacred Site victory condition, as well as his Treacle of Gold. And the Horsemen chasing in. Looks like they're going to give their life and be spent in the end. Will we see a switch up? I don't think so. I think it's just going to be more Horsemen. It's still out of one building, by the way. And I don't think this... Okay, from what I thought they were actually both producing the same build. I was about to say, I don't think that works. No, he has supervised 2 different buildings. Although this is inefficient from the Imperial official because he's not actually building anything out of the archery range right now. Zhugnu could have been a decent choice. I think Zhugnu, if I recall correctly, have the same range as Horse Archers, 4.5 and 4.5 each. But he doesn't want to hang around there, right? He doesn't want to... Or does he? Maybe he does want to go back. He's going for the Imperial Academy, so he is going back for her. This must be the Zhugnu play. I thought he'd actually played towards the Fire Lancers at this stage in the game. I thought they would have been super effective. But I can definitely see the value in Zhugnu. The reason I was highlighting them is they are definitely a favorable trader. You have to remember that, like, compared to archers, if you archer versus Zhugnu, as long as you keep range, archers win. But as soon as you get in range, the Zhugnu have the power, right? So if you think about that detail, and then you think about the horse archer matchup, at 85 health, still not having the boy's fortitude, you're going to lose a lot of troops quickly for the Muslim. There we go. Went back for it. This also, keep in mind, the other benefit of Song Dynasty is he now has that quicker villager production rate. You can actually see it right here, down to 13 seconds. So he's going to outscale his opponent because they're both playing 1 TC. This is info that 3DB has because he was just in his opponent's base. He knows he hasn't expanded like that. It's just too much open ground to risk expanding double TC. Horse Archer army has built up now. Switching to Knights coming out from the Muslim. I like this. We needed this. He needed a solution to the Horseman, and this is the exact one he needs. And you don't even need that many. 5 or 6 of them is good enough to bog down the Horseman. 3DB. There we go. Zhugnu. That's what we want to see. I just love it. I love the read. You wouldn't anticipate this either. If you're the Muslim and you haven't seen Zhugnu yet, you wouldn't think your opponent has gone back for them now, right? If he was going for some sort of Zhugnu element to his army, it would have already appeared. That's going to be to his misfortune as well. The Muslim... Eco expansion sniped out before it can get rocking. Nice moves out of 3DB. And this is a big impact. The Muslim now down to 39. Look at the difference. 3DB up at 50. And remember, he produces them 30% quicker. So the Muslim has to find a hit into the economy. And he has to do it soon. Now, if you can get enough Knights, you counter everything 3DB's doing. But he didn't continue the Knight Treacle. He actually stopped at 1 by the looks of it. And that's bad. That is not a good situation to be in. Zhugnu, I don't know if he got eyeballs on it. He might have just scouted them. But he needs to start producing these Knights en masse. And he isn't doing it at all. Like, the Muslim, his eco can barely support it right. It's not just the gold, but it's the food as well. These early Knights, he also hasn't, like, upgraded at all, I don't think. Okay, he has. Yeah. But still, he's not producing them. And now the fight being engaged. Zhugnu trying to get in. We've seen this matchup before, and it was favored for Zhugnu before they got buffed. Even more favored now. I think the main changes were around their cost, just making them a little bit more cost efficient. And then I think it was their health got reduced as a result. But their training time is down, so you're able to spam out more, right? So overall, just like Zhugnu is an early unit, or just a Zergy type unit, more efficient, more valuable. And look at this play. Again, 3DB outmobilizes the Muslim, and there is not enough room to protect the villagers. They don't even run for the wooden fortress. They run for the high hills, which means that they are all going to die. Not the way to get them out. 3DB about to double up on the eco count at this rate. The Muslim 38, 53 right now for 3DB, but not for long for the Muslim. As he turns them around, too little, too late. The value the Horsemen have had in this game has been insane. And now 3DB, 53 to the Muslims' 27 villages. 26. 25. Oh my god, it's the Benny Hills. Put the clown show music on, because that's how it's feeling. The only good side of this is 3DB's trapped in the corner. The bad side is he's still only got 1 knight. The Muslim never invested into it. And with the Zhugnu army here now, you might end up becoming the one pinched. In fact, 3DB, the way he's doing this, he's baiting his opponent in. He'll chase down the stragglers. He boxes him into a corner. He moves in, cuts off the expansion completely, and now will return to the main army. And this is where the Muslim could not engage him. But he'll have to. If he doesn't fight now, it's all over. But how do you fight against this? The Zhugnu are just going to shred you. Knights coming out 1 by 1's not good enough anymore. He needed to double down on that, and that's where his failure was. He didn't get the ample amount. He didn't get 5, 6, maybe 7 Knights. If he had this game, it would look different. But instead, it's his bodies that are massed up quicker than 3DB's. And this is just Zhugnu on the horse archers, by the way. He didn't even chase the horsemen. Instead, choosing to snipe out and wreck the expansion completely. Zhugnu, fairly reasonable trades coming out. These, by the way, were never actually vetted up. He completely kept producing them, so he actually never went ahead and gave them the upgrade to veteran. And that was versus the horse archer. That's why they were stronger. If these were veteran Zhugnu, this wouldn't even been close. And I think the Muslim's done. You've lost your expansion, you lost the eco game, you lost the military front as well. This should just be the GG. With the treacle non-stop into his base, the Muslim taps out, and 3DB. Oh man, he's starting to look like a master of China.